Despite the prosperity on the surface, the Gilded Age demonstrated struggles with poor living conditions, restrictions on immigration, and nativism, enhancing the difficulties for immigrants living and working in the United States. Old immigrants came from the British Isles, Germany, and Scandinavia, and easily assimilated into American society due to similarities in language, religion, and a high level of literacy. Leading into the Gilded Age, a wave of new immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe escaped from religious persecution and were introduced to the benefits of America, including economic opportunities, political and religious freedom, and new jobs. These new immigrants were poor, illiterate, and unskilled, which allowed them to take jobs from American workers, as they could be paid less for their services. Due to overpopulation and the spread of diseases, many restrictions were placed upon those who tried to immigrate into the United States. In the Gilded Age, the population increased exponentially, and the United States was populated with excessive numbers. The first law placed was the Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned further migration into America of the Chinese. Another act placed was the Immigration Act of 1882, which again banned Chinese immigration, but this time in the vein of laborers. Two other acts were soon placed, including the Contract Labor Act of 1885, which prohibited the importation of foreign aliens under American control or agreement to perform labor. Furthermore, the Immigration Act of 1990, an amendment in the United States that increased the number of legal immigrants allowed to enter into the United States every year. This also introduced the lottery system, which assigned visas to immigrants randomly. These acts were placed to control the skyrocketing population rates and to slow down the spread of diseases to an extent. Overcrowding and joblessness in cities was a result of the population boom, and the acts were solutions to the problems. The progressives used these acts as a way to limit the immigration in the progressive era because the country wasn't fully developed to inhabit the immediate growth. As a result, the country's resources slowly diminished. In 2020, the United States continues to set laws on immigration, including the public charge rule, which lets officials deny visas and green card applications from immigrants who rely or could rely on certain public benefits. With a high increase in nativism promoting the interests of native inhabitants and against those who have immigrated, immigrants were faced with many problems in the Gilded Age. These problems were that they were treated poorly by the natives and given lower wages as they were less skilled due to lower education they received in their native country. This was a reaction towards immigrants, and many developed a fear or dislike against them. Throughout the Progressive era, many tried to solve these problems with efforts such as the Immigration Act of 1924, which severely restricted immigration from non-Northern European countries. Due to this, there were simply fewer immigrants to be alarmed about. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 and a follow-up act in 1990 opened up the United States immigration to people from all over the world once the fears and dislike of immigrants went down. In 2020, the United States is still trying to further solve their problems as nativism still exists. President Trump consistently appeals to native sentiment, as seen in Mexican deportations and generalization of Muslim immigrants due to the falsely accused association with terrorist groups. Immigrants did not grow up with the same privileges of education and certain skills as native-born Americans. They were also faced with many difficulties when it came to the language barrier, as many immigrants knew little or no English. As a result of this, the jobs the immigrants took were given lower wages, as the immigrants had less skill and knowledge than previous employees. These lower wages among immigrants led to a great deal of poverty, thus leading to poor living conditions among immigrant neighborhoods. Furthermore, immigrants brought over many foreign diseases from around the world, such as smallpox, typhoid, malaria, yellow fever, cholera, and tuberculosis, which was not only spread among immigrant neighborhoods, but around all urban areas. Other problems that immigrants faced when it came to the way they lived was overcrowding, due to the surplus of immigrants coming to America, unpacked streets which made travel difficult, and inadequate water facilities which led to a very unhealthy lifestyle, both when it came to cleanliness as well as eating and drinking. Overall, when immigrants first came to America, their living conditions were anything but ideal. In the Progressive era, immigrants had the job opportunities available to them that would allow for better housing in the future. Tenements were not reformed until the 1920s, when the United States closed down its borders to most immigrants. As well as this, the Tenement House Act, which required basic sanitation and health, and that each tenement had adequate ventilation, was finally put into place after being passed in 1867. In 2020, immigrants tend to have less formal education on average, with levels of educational attainment particularly low among Hispanic immigrants and many Southeast Asian immigrants. Immigrant and native-born workers are also likely to differ in their ability to converse in English. For these reasons, many immigrants work low-wage jobs and suffer with poverty.